call was taken electronically. This meeting of the Ripon Area School District Board of Education has been properly noticed in accordance with the open meeting law in state statute 19.84 and related legal references. Our statement of district vision: one of Wisconsin's finest school districts, fostering excellence for all through innovation. Our first item of business tonight is to recognize, go ahead, go right ahead, that's fine.
Come up here with me. Actually, we'll stand over here, if that's okay. Here you go, Miss America.
Oh,
I've been referring to Carrie as Miss America.
Oh.
There may be a song or two that you want to stick around later. I'm just going to read a few things. I'm really excited to share a few words about Carrie this evening. If you have not had the opportunity to meet Carrie, she is our Ripon Area School District social worker. She is also the 2025 Wisconsin School Social Worker of the Year. So. In my 14 years in education, I have worked with hundreds of educators, and when I tell you that Carrie is one of the most special educators that I've had, I'm not going to cry, I didn't cry when I read this, that I've had the opportunity to work with, believe me when I tell you that I don't say that lightly. So I will not subject Carrie to the entire compliment gauntlet that I subjected her to when we were last week at the Wisconsin School Social Work Association conference. So I won't subject her to that again, but I will read just a few words if that's okay. I'm going to do it whether or not you tell me to. Carrie genuinely exemplifies the highest standards of school social work practice. Her deep, endless knowledge of laws and policies combined with a strong commitment of effective practice and data-driven approach to assessment and intervention are what made her an exceptional choice for the School Social Worker of the Year. In the areas of practice and intervention, Carrie is an incredible practitioner who consistently delivers effective, compassionate support to students and families. From providing individual counseling to leading professional development sessions on adolescent mental health and well-being, Carrie tailors her work to meet the unique needs of each student. She embodies the meet each student where they're at philosophy to meet their needs. She fiercely advocates for each young person that she works with. Her ability to connect with others, build trust, and create safe, supportive environments makes a lasting difference in the lives of many. Her use of data is not only a tool for accountability, but also a means of continuously improving services to ensure that each student gets what they need. Carrie has an unwavering professionalism and commitment to practice, and she consistently approaches each situation with a high degree of integrity, making sound ethical decisions, even in the most challenging of circumstances when it would certainly be easier to make an alternative decision. Carrie always prioritizes the well-being and dignity of students while upholding the standards of confidentiality and respect. She is a force to be reckoned with in the world of educational social work, and I could not be more happy that Carrie decided to join us in Ripon, and I have to tell the story when I say she decided to join us in Ripon. A number of years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I asked Carrie if she would meet me at Mugs, the coffee shop downtown. Hey, can you just help me develop a job description? We're going to be maybe adding a school social worker. I need some help coming up with that. As Carrie does, she came with the work already done for me, and she's like, here you go, here's your job description. And I looked at it, okay, perfect. If you want to go ahead and sign right there at the bottom. And we stole her from a neighboring school district. So, sorry, but not sorry. Sorry. So, thank you so much, Carrie, for being everything that you are to us. And please join me one more time in congratulating Carrie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, one. Good. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
See, I thought yours was going to be short, so I cut some out. Here you have this whole page. We got 3 pages.
All right.
All right. This is Sarah Seidler, who happens to be one of our rock stars here at Ripon High School. The Wisconsin chapter of the American Association of German Teachers has selected Ripon High School German teacher, Sarah Seidler, as a distinguished German educator for 2025. She's currently in her 20th year of teaching high school, with 16 of them being here in Ripon. She enjoys reflecting on ways in which she has been able to connect students with the cultures of German-speaking countries over a decade and a half in our district. These have included pen pal and Zoom pal connections with students in Austria, 4-day weekend trips to Concordia Languages Villages in Minnesota for language immersion weekends, visits to the German Career Fair in Pewaukee, participation in UW-Madison's German Day event and in the regional pronunciation contest, and numerous concert experiences featuring German artists. On a day-to-day basis, though they physically remain in school, and this is where Sarah excels, Sarah's students are transported to German-speaking countries through fairy tales, legends, poems, skits, films, teen soap operas, and, most recently, by student request, dad jokes. In addition to teaching all levels of German courses at RHS and RMS, Sarah has worked to build up a German club that encourages students to work together on projects in the wider community. Whether they're lacing up their speakers to take part in the Walk to End Alzheimer's, or putting on a costume to step inside the living window at Dickens of a Christmas, German club members are visible at many events in Ripon and beyond. In the spring of 2023, as part of their March Music Madness competition, Sarah students reached out with fan emails to a band and singers who the class voted into the top 4 spots on their 16-song bracket. One of those singers was Friedrich Brauer, a professional performer in musicals as well as the lead singer of a swing band. The connection grew from an email exchange to a voice message exchange to a live Zoom concert that included Friedrich and his talented daughter, Lainey. Eventually, Friedrich and Sarah began talking about whether, at some point, he and his band might actually be able to travel to the U.S. and do a tour. Ripon was able to be the first concert location thanks to a grant from the REF, who funded their stay here. Ripon was just the first stop on the band's 2-week tour, which was completely organized by Sarah. Sarah is a rock star and very worthy of this award.
Again, should we go 1, 2, 3? Perfect. Thank you.
Paparazzi moment. Thanks, guys.
All right, now I'd like to highlight our soccer team and the leadership they have displayed under the direction of their coach, Steve Nankervis and Josh Reeder. With Coach Nankervis are Zach Kelm and Logan Polash. Gents, thank you for your leadership and for your efforts supporting our military and our veterans, and I'll turn it over to you guys. Sure.
So this is my 11th year with the Ripon soccer programs, 7th year as the varsity boys head coach. Just kind of to clue everyone in on kind of how we run our program, especially on the boys side, is we are a player-led program led by 5 captains this season, 3 seniors, Logan being one of them, and 2 juniors with Zach here. Every member of the program has a voice. They are reminded that even though they may not wear the captain's armband, that they can still be leaders by their actions and by their attitude. And I always ask that these young men carry that over into the classroom and the building itself as well. And I'm going to have Zach talk a little bit about that.
Our season included players organizing team meals where they did the cooking, player-led practice plans and film sessions. We did a bunch of team building events to set goals and expectations while also being inclusive, so both JV and varsity. And we were a team, we were very close. We had a team group chat, student athletes only, to make sure that all communications from the coaches were followed up on and that everyone was receiving the same message.
In addition to that, an emphasis was placed on all of the student athletes remembering who and what they were representing a program that was bigger than themselves, representing their families, and then also representing the team as well as the community and school as a whole. The RHS soccer program was really more than a team this year. We really came together and we're a family, and I just hope that we carry that on whether we're in season or not.
And finally, just to conclude here, the success of the boys program, we were able to have this season did not come without some challenges that everyone may have heard later in the season, especially in the playoffs. Very proud of these young men taking it on themselves. Was not, I followed the lead from Mr. Rivard to Mr. Kindier to Mr. Propson, and these boys took it upon themselves to kind of stand up for themselves and fight for what they thought was right in this whole situation. So just hats off to the leadership of the captains and the entire team. So it was definitely a season to remember, regardless of it not ending the way we quite were expecting it to. But you know, a life lesson was learned there. These guys are going to go on to do great things beyond high school and beyond soccer. So just acknowledgement for the Ripon boys soccer program for their overall leadership. These two men for speaking up to you folks tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
You say she can go next, and then I'll go first.
So, for our highlights and celebrations for this board meeting, we wanted to share a project that we're working on that is now complete. As you all know, we're trying to up our enrollment this year, and one of the greatest ways that we found repeatedly over and over again is word of mouth. Current families sharing what they love about Odyssey. So we put together, we sent out a survey and got some amazing responses, so we put them together in a little bit of a presentation on what the students, families, teachers' favorite things about Odyssey. So we invited everybody from that as a part of Odyssey, from the parents to the students, and here are some of the things. 10th graders talking about the Zoom classes and the field trips. Middle schoolers talking about I-Ready math, because math's favorite subject. Field trips were another big highlight for a lot of the students. Having the option to be live or watch the recorded classes, with that flexibility to stay engaged with their learning depending on what's going on in their life. The teachers overwhelmingly were our favorite across the board. We have such amazing staff, and the parents and students, really, many of them, that was a huge highlight for them. So, one of our students created an award for one of our teachers. Favorite thing about Odyssey is Mrs. Mott, and then listed some of her attributes that he really appreciated from her. So, some of the parents appreciated it, just saying how much of a blessing Odyssey has been for them. That one-on-one time, but also that interaction with their classmates in that whole group setting. And then that the kids have fun, was another huge part. So that it feels like family. Flexibility was a huge talking point from a lot of our parents. That their kids feel supported and that they feel their confidence is growing. Sharing their excitement with their classmates, but still having that involvement as a parent to be there with their student every step of the way. So shared some pictures of their child's learning. More time together as a family. It's not that we love this one. Odyssey isn't just a school, it's our home. So that was, reading these, it was really nice going through these. And then some of our staff, some of their favorite things. Working with the students and the families and how positive everyone is. The students are engaged. They have supported learning coaches at home, and really having that team feel through the teacher, the parent, the student. So those are a lot of highlights. And then this is one of our middle school teachers created this video. I don't know, fingers crossed it, but. Oops.
Oh, we got our tech guy right here.
Has been looping with some of our students. I've been with some of our students since they were in 3rd grade. Fast forward 6 years and they're now 8th graders. This has allowed me to really get to know the student academically and as a whole. We pick up right where we left off in June. Also watching them grow through their hobbies and interests outside of school. We have ice skaters, cheer and dance competitors, baseball players, all who travel throughout the country while attending Odyssey. And so they bring their experiences and share back with the whole class, and it's like a cornucopia of unique backgrounds to share with each other.
So then this presentation is something that we'll pull from repeatedly up throughout the year to post little snippets on our Facebook page, and as open enrollment is coming up, and to highlight these pieces on our website. So even though this was one presentation, it's something that we'll continue to pull from throughout the entire year to continue to share all of the amazing things that our students, staff, and families have to say about Odyssey. Yeah, thanks for supporting us.
Okay, our high school student report.
Hello, everyone. So just some past events. This time of the year, students are basically fully settled in. Grades have been a heavy focus recently with the end of the quarter and then coming on a close to the semester in the next couple month or two, which is crazy to say. We've been continuing the regulations of passes and phones. We're looking at new ways to monitor the use of phones, and then smart passes have been being used efficiently in the hallways, whether you're going to bathroom to your locker. And then, like we've already talked about, the soccer team, we recently had a Veterans Day program. They ran it very well, represented Ripon very well, and it was a very nice little thing with the choir and everyone who was involved. So then sports, our fall sports have came to an end. They all ended the same week of October 20th. Volleyball, we made it to the second round. We lost to the #1 seed, St. Mary Catholic. Soccer lost in the regional final game. And then football lost against Little Chute, who's actually playing for state this upcoming week. So cross country continued their season through Addie Baird, who ran at state. She got 29th and ran with a time of 19 minutes and 57 seconds. So definitely something to be proud of. And overall, we all had really good seasons. There's a ton of all-conference awards and a lot of Player of the Year awards as well. So really important for building up within sport programs. Going off that, winter sports have started. Girls basketball, we started last week, Monday, with a whole new staff, whole new everything, and we have our first game tomorrow. And then first Commons game on Friday against Berlin, so already a big one right off the bat. Tomorrow we'll be at Mayville, and then the boys started today. I know Logan just came in and spoke. He just came from practice, which started like 40 minutes ago. They don't play till December, so after the Thanksgiving break, they'll be on the court. And then wrestling also started today as well. We also recently had the play, Andy Fowler's Big Time Bucket List. That was last week, Thursday through Saturday. I heard it went really well. I didn't go see it myself, but I heard from a lot of the seniors that it was very successful and just a lot of good things. So that's all I got. Yeah.
And our MMA First Team All Conference for volleyball.
Good way to go out. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Any public comments or written comments? Does anyone want to make any changes to the agenda? Okay, and we will accept it as it is. I forgot, do we need to have a motion for that? No, we still go to the. Sorry. That's fine. Announcements of contributions to the district.
Yes. So the following donations were made to the district in the past month. From the East Central Benefit Tractor Cruise, $3,653 were donated to our Student Needs Fund. Also contributing to our Student Needs Fund, the MP Charity Golf Incorporated donated $19,000. So thank you to both of them for that very, very deserving fund. Mercury Marine donated $500 to the Ripon High School robotics team. Kathy and Doug Kelm donated $250 to the soccer playoff live stream fee, and Graphic Sign and Letter Company also donated $250 to the soccer playoff live stream fee. So I'd like to kindly thank all of our donors from the past month for contributing to our school district.
Next on our agenda is our special presentation. Sean Carson,
Yes, thank you.
the Ripon Education Foundation.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight and giving me a couple minutes to talk about the good work of the Education Foundation. You can see some familiar faces around the table. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Sean Karsten. I am a proud member of the class of 2003 from Ripon High School, and now a proud parent of 3 young ones in the school district: Evelina, who's in 3rd grade, Ava, who's in 1st grade, and Luther, who's in 4K. Which leads me to my first notion of gratitude here this evening. For all of you, thank you for the incredible work and the time that you are putting into this role and serving on this board, not only in recognition and reasons why I joined the Education Foundation to reflect on the education I received within the school district, particularly my time at RHS and the relationships that were developed, but particularly now in your vested interest, given that my children hopefully will be in the school district for a long time. So first and foremost, thank you. I know you all have some awareness of the Education Foundation and the incredible work that they've been doing over the course of the past 20 plus years. It was established back in 1997. We have 2 campaigns that we run on an annual basis. We have our annual scholarship drive. Since 1997, the Education Foundation has handed out over $440,000 in scholarships to graduating seniors from Ripon High School, which I think is a really impressive milestone and something that's very important to us. But we also do a lot of other work inside the community and within the school district across all schools as well. And that's really what Ripon Roar celebrates. So we are in our annual Ripon Roar campaign right now. We launched earlier today. That will run throughout the course of this week. You can go to riponeducationfoundation.org and we will have a link to get there. It is an online giving campaign, but it's also a lot about awareness, right? For me, I didn't know the Ripon Education Foundation existed. Certainly not as a student and even after graduation and into my early adult years, until I started to have kids and wanted to get involved back in the community again in a different type of way. And it was really my first opportunity to learn about the incredible work that the foundation is doing. Just last year, teaching and learning grants, $27,000, $4,000 in literacy-focused assistance for elementary students, $20,000 in special program grants, and $46,500 in scholarships awarded. So Ripon Roar goes to support a lot of those things that I just mentioned, not just scholarships, and things that are really critical for the development of our youth. And I think the great work that the school district does, we're thrilled that we're able to support that in some type of way. And so my ask for you all is just to engage with the campaign. If you're able and willing, obviously we would love for you to make a contribution to the campaign, be recognized in that way, and we'd be very grateful for that. But also just acknowledging the awareness aspect of this. I talked about me not knowing personally about the great work that the foundation was doing, and when we lifted Ripon Roar 5 years ago, a big goal of ours was obviously to raise some significant capital and funds to allocate on an annual basis. But another part of it was bringing this great work to a lot of alumni and community members who didn't know about that great work. And so when you go on our online giving platform this week, what you will see on social media and on that platform are a lot of great stories. Stories like you heard tonight, and stories that we all know well about the incredible work taking place inside the school district, from teachers, from staff, and from students. like those posts, share those posts, comment on those posts, and if you're willing, share your own personal story and narrative about why you serve on the school board and why this work is so critical for the community. We have raised a little over $11,000 today. Our goal is $40,000 throughout the course of the week. You can go on, you can check the progress, you can see how many donors there are, where they're coming from across the country, sometimes from around the world. And you can see the allocation of their affinity to the school district, whether they are a former student, an alumni, a current parent, a current administrator, teacher, or staff. And so we try to gamify it a little bit, but it's an exciting week. And we typically see a nice boost at the beginning of the week, a little lull in the middle of the week, and then we see some strong energy again at the end of the week. So we will take any support that we can get from you guys. We're so grateful for the opportunity to provide this type of support in the community, grateful for our partnership with the school board, and grateful for the time tonight to share a little bit about this important campaign that we're running this week. I have some fact sheets. I will leave them here. I encourage you all to grab one on the way out. I know you have important business to get to. My email and phone number are on the sheet, and please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
for all
it.
you guys do.
Absolutely.
Next order of business is to consider approval of updates to the public relations specialist executive assistant job description. Do we have a motion to put that on the floor?
So moved.
Chris, in a second?
Second.
David? Has everybody had a chance to read it? Do you have any questions?
I just have one question. Number 23, is that pretty uniform across the job descriptions? That's not something that's in like the employee handbook or codes? I mean, obviously it's important. I just, I've never seen something like that on a job description before.
I would have to check in those
Yeah.
other places. I don't know off the top of my
What
head,
I,
but
what I,
I would.
what I can let you know is that a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago or what have you, there were just some, like the last, maybe 4 items, 21 through 23, were determined to be added to every single job description. And yes, those things are in handbooks, but I think that was something that was discussed with previous board, that those 3 things would be on every job description.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's vote. Passes unanimously. Next item is to consider approval of the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve. Second.
Chris? Vote on that. And that passes unanimously as well. Okay, we have possible upcoming action items. And I'm going to turn this over to you, Chrissy.
All right, so the first one on there is the academic and career planning guide for the 26-27 school year, along with a list of substantive changes. I know that we will talk a little bit more about the math recommendation as part of our curriculum committee report, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions if the rest of the board does have any questions, particularly about that item. You will see attached to this item also is the list of substantive changes or course revisions for the upcoming school year as well. I know Denise had reached out actually with a question about PLTW. specifically because we are requesting that we remove Project Lead the Way. And her question was simply, why are we asking to remove that? And the simple answer is that Mike Yoder, who is our new technology education teacher, is not PLTW certified. And quite honestly, we are actually looking at some other options, potentially for some transcripted credits through Marine Park Technical College, as he obtains his official licensure certification in the area of tech ed. PLTW is something that we are actually looking at district-wide as we start to review our science curriculum. The participation fees for PLTW are very extensive, and with so much focus on our literacy and math curriculum right now, and PLTW being a very standalone curriculum, we are finding challenges to implementing that fully to its capacity, especially at the elementary levels, and we are exploring some other options. But at the high school, we are recommending that we not offer that. Again, we'll address the math recommendation. I'm not sure if anyone else has any other questions about the coursework.
I just, you're talking about the ACP handbook, is
Sure.
that correct? So I just noticed, like, under the extracurricular activities, are the coaches going to be updated for the athletics?
We'll update it.
And yeah, the names of the coaches are you
Yeah.
talking, Stephanie, specifically, yeah, we will update that
Okay.
as we move into the next year.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll go on to our next item, legislative updates. Oh, is that right? Yes.
Mhm.
I missed
Well, actually, it's the early college credit program guidelines,
that. Yeah,
right?
right. Early college credit
10.2.
program, 10.2.
Okay, I believe actually, Jonah, was that your item?
Yeah.
To that.
Skip right over.
No, that's okay.
We, actually, the high school counselors and principals, asked to meet with Ron and just talk about kind of the history of the program and where things were at. And they were somewhat concerned about so many students leaving the building, but they knew that the early college credit program is a great opportunity for families to get college credits for free. And so kind of just balancing those two goals to have great opportunities for college, but also recognizing that in the last 3 years, the expenses and the participation has grown a lot. And so just trying to look at that and set a cap, which is what the state recommends. And so what this memo recommends, I saw that it was slightly different than the other memo that we looked at. We gotta get on the same page for next month, but we're recommending 24 credit cap on your lifetime college credits while you attend Ripon High School.
Right. I think the other one was probably for a semester,
Oh,
because
was
it
it
said
for a
15 to
semester?
8 to extend
Okay.
it for a semester.
Got it.
That's how I read that.
Okay.
I understood.
How many kids are taking over 24 right now?
I couldn't tell you that, but there definitely are some because there are some.
Is it like is there like a lot of kids hitting over 24?
No, it's a smaller number.
I'd say very few.
Very few?
Get to 24, yeah.
So what is the
I don't know,
advantage, what is the
I can't
advantage
speak
of
to it.
pulling it then?
Say it again?
What's the advantage of pulling it if there's so few going over 24?
The state is 18, and they cap it at 18, and we thought we would.
Right. We
But does
exceeded.
that kind of make us a school of choice? If kids can say, I can go to Ripon because I have a
Correct.
specialized plan
And
built
get
out for
6 more
me
credits.
that allows me to go and take extra college credits.
It could definitely be a draw for somebody,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And at the same time, we have one student who has 30 credits just without doing any college credits.
Really?
He's doing his credits here in school. So we have tons of opportunities for semester, 2 semesters worth of credits.
Correct.
Yeah, like he has 30 credits and he has not left the building.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just hesitant to pull a program like this, just as I've seen my own
When
son benefit from something like this.
Absolutely.
Who's shaved a year off of college.
When you say polo program, what do you mean by that?
Well, if there's so few kids using it.
Oh, no.
We're not saying to get
No,
rid
just
So I'm
of.
understand
saying
what
if
you
there's
said.
so few kids going over the cap.
Well,
then-
right now, we don't have any cap currently, so.
If there's so
we-
few kids going over 24, what, is it really like that big of an impact? Like, what is the impact that it's gonna have? Is it saving us 50,000 or is it saving us 3,000?
So like, one thing that can happen now is that students will start attending college, you know, as either a sophomore or junior, and then by the time they're seniors, they might be entirely off campus for the whole school year. And so I think what this is trying to do is just trying to say, hey, you know, when you're a sophomore, junior, take our AP credits in our CAP courses and stay on site so that we can, you know, have the right number of students in our schools as well, and still offer 24 credits, which is
Do
exceeding.
you get
the
like
state
docked
recommendation.
for not having them in the building?
You might not be able to offer a course if you don't have enough students.
Correct.
Yeah.
It could
Can
have
somebody,
a-
can somebody review the whole thing for me? Because I realize that I don't know how the whole program works. So students want to do something. There are certain times when we have to let them, but other times when we don't have to let them.
If we offer a comparable course at the high school, we encourage them to take that course. If there is a course that they are looking to take that is not offered at the high school, they can certainly look outside of the high school to a college or nearby.
But do we have to let them? Do we have to let them do it if?
They have to apply, there's a deadline for their application to do so. So they indicate an interest for us, and then it's up to us to review that application and make sure there isn't an equivalent course. And if there isn't,
We encourage you to,
yeah, we
We'll do it.
try to have them take things locally, of course, because we want them to. But
And so,
I don't.
and so are we saying that what the state says is we have to, if they want to take something that we don't offer a comparable course for, we have to let them do it up to 18 credits, and then after that, we don't have to let them do it anymore. Otherwise, that's why I'm not really understanding.
So like, we choose to participate in that, the early college credit program, so
Okay.
it's something we chose to offer to students. But everything about the program is, like, the board is supposed to be the one that sets the cap. And so they have a recommendation of the 18 credit cap, that's what the state is recommending, but the school board is actually supposed to set the cap for your local school district, so.
So if we don't set a cap, then if anybody wants to take a course that's not comparable to something that we offer, we have to let them do it and pay for it.
Because we're enrolled in the program.
And we haven't established any other guidelines that would say they could.
Correct.
Yes.
They could do 50 credits,
Mhm.
maybe if.
Okay.
Conceivably, yes, or theoretically. And there is some reimbursement for that, so it's not 100% of cost, it's 75% of cost. So as a school district that participates in that program, if the course costed $100 for tuition, we would get reimbursed $25. So that's, I guess, a broad overview. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, now I have a much better understanding of
Okay.
what our responsibility is. I wouldn't want us not to participate. On the other hand, I think your question is a valid question, how much money are we actually saving? But I also think it makes sense to have a cap, or this thing could just go through the roof if everybody said, I want to do this.
I just think it could be an advantage of, like, I'm speaking from my personal experience where, you know, we sat down with the school counselor and, you know, there are some, Ripon is fortunate to have some really, really smart kids, and they need that academic challenge, and it's not a high percentage, but there's a good portion, and you know, fortunately, like Mrs. Down I will forever and ever speak highly of her. Like, we sat down Brock's 8th grade year and we made out a plan, and part of that plan, we knew in 8th grade, he was gonna be taking ECC classes, and we knew 8th grade year, we were trying to shave a year of college off. And we developed that academic plan with her, and we were able to do that, and save 60 grand at the end of the day.
Sure.
But the school district thankfully had a lot to do with that, but I just think that can put us really ahead of the game, and not only, you know, academic scorecards, but school of choice. You know, when you have families that are like, I can go to Ripon because I can, you know, they're gonna let me take college courses.
I think there's absolute benefit in that regard. And as a board, you can have a conversation, that's why we're bringing it up,
Yeah.
right? To have the conversation about what is the process to exceed the cap? Is there a process to exceed the cap? Can you apply if you're in that rare situation? You know, how does someone do that? I know, for example, Ripon College offers courses that are 4-credit courses. So then when you start looking, you might.
4 and 5.
Correct. So then, okay, you know, I'm sitting at 23 credits, but I want to take this 3-credit course. How do I do that? Or can I do that? Do you know, so I think there are opportunities for amendments to any policy. That's why it's a discussion item for us to talk about. And I also think on the fiscal side, as a district, to establish a cap is responsible. In 24 credits, I'll credit the, pun intended, I'll credit the high school staff for saying, you know, we don't want to just do what the state says, right? Like, we want to make sure 24 is doable, and 24 is the equivalent of 2 full-time semesters, right? Because a 12-credit college course, or 12-credit load in college is full-time. So that was part of the thinking that went into what we're sharing here as well.
I'm just wondering too, is it possible that parents, you know, once you get to that cap, parents can help pay for some of those classes to help lessen that financial burden then on the district? Just, you know, typically if you're a parent that's trying to get that going for your child, you're willing to help with that process as well.
Yeah, I think all great discussion items for the board to engage in and think about as we establish a cap.
Are you able to get some history on how many students have gone over 24 credits?
Oh, I'm sure we could probably look that up.
I don't know how to do it, but.
Yeah, we can check into it. I haven't been asked, right, before now, so we can check into that and see what we can bring back to you before the December meeting, for sure.
Same thing with, how do we find out what the process is to exceed, like 24, if somebody did want to go?
You guys would establish that.
Okay, we would make a policy for that.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
I think that might be something that the curriculum committee could discuss before it came to the full board.
Sure.
And are there stipulations in being part of the program? Like, is the state, you know, can we exceed or? Okay.
We certainly can, because
It's our-
essentially it's our dollar,
Yeah.
right? So the state wouldn't impose that on us. They just gave a guideline to say we don't have to go over 18.
Okay. Thank you.
And most schools in our area stick at 18.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask next.
I'm very surprised that we have none right now,
Well,
that we don't have a cap.
yeah, but my daughter, one of my daughters, she never left the school and she got 23 college credits this year.
I think that's what Mr. Kinzinger was saying before. We have a student who was able to access 30 credits without ever having to leave campus either.
Yeah.
And we value that campus experience too. I mean, I think that's the other thing that's
It's all good.
maybe
Everything we're talking
understated,
about is
right?
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Do we still have cap courses?
Yes.
So that's college credit, AP
Yes.
courses are college
Yes.
credit.
Those are the two big ones here. Yep.
We also have some transcripted in our business ed
Correct.
too.
Yep.
We're just happy to have the dialogue, so that way we can come to a conclusion that is palatable for the board, responsible for us fiscally, and beneficial for kids. Right? That's the hope. Just try to balance all three.
Thank you. On to legislative updates.
Yes. So the one, and this was referenced earlier today, the most recent bill that is of note for us is the cell phone bill at the state level that was passed recently. Kudos to Mr. Kinzinger and the high school staff and students for coming together, and they are planning on bringing a policy to our policy committee at the beginning of December for their review before it comes to you as a full board. So kudos to the high school for getting out in front of that. And I think it's something, don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but I know that they're looking for some consistency, 6-12, which I think is also beneficial. So,
Is that gonna be like student-led?
it's both. I'll let
Okay.
Mr. Kinzinger can speak to that if he wants.
Sure.
Student, teacher, actually when I went addressed it with both groups, they both came up with the exact same solution. So it'll be, yeah. So students involved, staff involved, and admin involved.
Great.
Yep.
Legislatively, nothing else. Any other questions about that from anybody? Okay. The committee reports, our CNI committee met in November, and Lori, I know you're going to provide a brief outline, and please, anybody else who was there, fill in any blanks.
And Chrissy
You
and
think are
Lieutenants,
important?
if you have any input, help me out. We talked about the high school math curriculum adjustments, addressing Algebra 2 struggles, talked about a new course track, and technical math exploration. My mouth isn't working. One of the things that Chrissy kind of brought up earlier and said that does anybody have a question about that? Talked about equitable dress code for females and males. Not that we would write the policy, because that would go to the policy committee. However, we talked about addressing bias and consistency and enforcement for males and females. And how that's all right? Yeah. Yeah, how it's
Specifically,
respected.
I would say
That's the
specifically at the middle and high school.
Yeah.
That was our conversation.
And how they should be the same, both middle school and high school. Talk
Some
about,
adjustments to who can enforce the dress code
Mhm.
policy.
Oh, yes.
To kind of bring the number down so that standard practices can be more likely. and
Consistency.
Yeah.
talked about the district performance and accountability, the district scorecard, which we now have.
State report card.
Yes, strategic pillars and the strategic plan, which we will talk about.
In a little bit.
Yep. Do you have anything to add to that, Chrissy?
No, the district and school report cards that were released by the state just happened, so that's hot off the press. And we did do a press release that went out to all of you regarding that. The district scorecard that Lori is referring to is actually in its developing stages. So we will talk a little bit more about that in future meetings.
Okay. Next thing was data reporting and other updates. Looking at a way to streamline the mid-year report, looking at state report cards and professional development, and the calendar for next school year, the 2026-2027 school year. Any questions about that? And then the girls' tennis team. Are there any questions regarding what we discussed at the committee meeting about the girls' tennis team? Okay. I think that'll be brought to us maybe next month, if not sometime soon. All right. Next thing on our agenda is strategic planning, board goals, and district scorecard.
Yes, so well, I wanted to bring this up because I'm interested in feedback from the board. So the district scorecard is something that I've talked to all of you about. It's it's one of my goals for the school year to come up with some metrics that help us guide our work and guide our progress over time. And the reason that strategic planning and board goals are connected to that is board goals has been something that has been brought up by different board members, I would say throughout the past 4 months. And our strategic plan is about 8 years old. So there's opportunity, I think, to revise, potentially, take a look at our strategic plan and make some revisions. So therefore, a new strategic plan can help align some board goals, which can then help inform our scorecard. Because alignment through all 3 of those helps us as a system with aligning resources, with aligning practices, with aligning professional development in a clear way, I think. But that is something that I wanted to put out there for discussion for the board to hear what you think about that as a possible option. So that way I can, if that is a direction you want us to go, I can look at securing some of that work and talk about a timeline and those kinds of things. So what kinds of questions do you have, or how do you feel about that as a potential next step for us? Yeah, go ahead.
I would just like to say that I think a strategic plan shouldn't be something that gets to be 7 or 8 years old. A strategic plan should be a living document that we keep looking at, and presumably we achieve some goals and we can write them off and possibly replace them with other goals. So I think that if we're going to do it, that's the frame of mind I would like to see us go into it with, that this is something that we don't put on a shelf and forget about. It's something that we keep looking at and we keep updating as circumstances change, because they always do.
I agree, and same thing with updating our goals as a board according to how things are going with the strategic plan. Ron and I had talked about that we start with the strategic plan, board goals, Ron's goals, just everybody's needs to go to the same end, which I think is great, and it should be a living document.
Any other thoughts or questions?
Well, now my next question is, how are we going to do, how does anybody envision strategic planning happen? I would love to see bottom-up strategic planning and not top-down strategic planning. I wouldn't want to see the administration and the board sit there and say, this is what should be happening, without actually incorporating stuff from the bottom up.
Yeah, I think community as well.
And community too, as well. I also think that the danger when you get into this is, obviously, logistically, it's a difficult thing to do. One of the problems I've seen in the past, to a certain extent here, but in other places as well, is that the administration is going to be running it, probably, in the sense that that's where the communications come from, that's who has full-time jobs involved in this. The board should have a piece of it, but usually these things, just the logistics always get run by the people who have a responsibility and time to put into it, which is usually the administration. And then what ends up happening is the discussion tends to flow in the direction that the administration wants it to go, and stops being truly bottom-up with actually getting everybody's ideas involved. And it's just the way it usually works out. And I'm not saying it's a plan by anybody, it usually works out that way. And I think it would be good if we can avoid that in the early stages and really try to incorporate a lot of people's ideas before we weed them out and focus on what really makes sense.
Yeah, to respond to that, some of the processes that I've been involved in that have addressed that have followed this kind of a pattern. So everyone comes together, it's a very diverse group of people, and you work collaboratively to create that strategic plan. And then in that collaboration, you set guidelines where you say, hey, 6 months from now, this team is going to get back together, that large team of 40 people plus, or however many people are able to attend and commit to the time. And then for that reason of, okay, here is an update on our progress. what questions do we have? Or we've, to your point also, David, we've achieved this goal and this goal, let's take those off, now what replaces them? So what's the next step for us? And I've seen it, a commitment to that on a 6-month basis for the first year, and then annually every year after that, in the spirit of continuous improvement. And I've also seen it mid-year annually, right? So it's not at the end when all of the data is done. It's in the middle of the year when you can still have an impact on practice, or you can still have an impact on professional development. So I've seen that too. So I think in my mind, all of those things would be on the table for discussion with that team, and ultimately empowering that team of people to, because having community members there is extremely powerful, to just galvanize commitment to helping kids is really what a strategic plan should do. So I thought I could talk for a long time about it, but it's not about me, it's about hearing how all of you feel about pursuing that. And I would, so David, just addressing one more thing that you said, you shared like administration typically ends up taking the reins. I would love for us to work with a consultant to help us, so that way we can be learners in that process instead of being, like for myself, being a facilitator and a learner is just hard to do. But having a consultant partner with us allows me to have a different seat at the table, which I also think is important when we're creating something that will be a living document for the system. So.
Anybody else? So that'll come to us next month?
Yeah, I can't, well, let me ask, is the board okay with me exploring some options for us for spring? Like, what kind of timing are we looking at? Do we want to do a spring strategic plan? Thinking about elections coming up, does that have an impact for the board? Do we want to start and then continue? Those are all things I'm just wondering about, and I guess I would love some input from the board in terms of timing, because as I'm reaching out to consultants, I want to be able to find out specifically when they can start helping us, if possible.
Okay, I don't want to dominate here, but I'll just say, I think late spring is a difficult time because it's the end of the school year. Staff are certainly worried about other things at that time and also getting tired. And I don't think it's a time when people are fresh. Community members, it might be a little bit different, but I think in terms of the people actually working in the school district, late spring is a difficult time. There's too much going on.
What do you think would be a good time?
I like his suggestion of mid-year, but I don't know what's a good time to start, because that's not a whole lot of time to get anything moving between now and then. But to me, January and February would be a much better time to do things than late spring. And fall is a horrible time because everybody is just getting back to school, and summer's a bad time because people have other plans and you don't get consistent attendance at things. And I don't know, those are just my thoughts, but they could be argued other ways too. So.
Anybody else?
I agree with what David said. I mean, that obviously not this January or February.
Why?
I don't know. I have no idea what the timeline for a consultant looks like.
Yeah, I don't know availability.
Right.
I certainly can ask, but I think that's what you were alluding to,
Yes,
right? Like,
exactly.
it's middle of November and
Mhm.
someone might be available, or multiple people might be available. I don't know, I haven't asked that specific question yet. I wanted to
My
have
only
this
concern
discussion.
would be is if we started in, let's say, February, and then we have board elections, and we have a new board in April. What does that look like then?
Right. I think that's part of why Ron had mentioned
Well,
spring.
yeah, that's why I'm asking, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would say, I see that. I think there are always, things happen, not always in April, where we could have new board members, or if we start a strategic plan in April, we may have new board members a year from now, and it's my job to help bring them up to speed on what the strategic plan was established before they came on board.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So I understand, I appreciate you saying that, and I can also see ways of being able to navigate it if we needed to.
Yeah, I think another point there is that if you have some people who are interested in being on the board, they could be meeting with that group, because that group is
As part of the
That would be a great idea.
community members, so
Mhm.
they wouldn't lose the chance to be involved in it.
Right.
True.
No, that's a really good idea. So do we think that Ron should move forward?
I think so.
Okay, I'll do some more exploring and bring back some options in December of what I was able to find out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Business-related reports, Jonah?
I just wanted to mention a couple of things. We are, our revenue's at 10% of projections for the school year. It was 12% last year. If you remember, last year we had a bunch of ESSER 3 funds that we claimed from summer school in September. And so we got more of our revenue at the beginning of the year because of that. We got all this federal revenue at the beginning of the year. And then expenses are 1% less than where they were last year. And then, does anybody have any questions about the general fund report?
Are we getting the funding in like expected from the grants?
Yes, yes.
I didn't know if the shutdown had an impact on that being slow at all.
It really didn't. We just submitted like an $88,000 claim for special education flow-through funding, and it was approved the same day, and the funding, it was received like a week later, or promised to us a week later. So it's like everything is working smoothly right now. It doesn't seem like there's any holdup on anything, so.
Good.
Yeah. I was just going to mention about the food service report. At this point, which was through the end of September, the food service fund had net income. But I was just trying to explain that it just depends on the timing of things. We do have more expenses than revenue because we're offering free breakfast district-wide. But at that point, at the end of September, we had more revenue because we were able to claim reimbursement from the federal and state reimbursement before we paid our invoices to Airmark. So just the timing of things. By the end of the school year, it will be a net loss, but right now, through the end of September, it was a net gain.
Are we still having great participation in the breakfast? If I remember correctly, last month, the high school was doing particularly unusually well.
170 today. That was
Oh, wow.
our all-time record.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then the last report, unless anybody has more questions about that, the last report is the summer school financial report. We're kind of looking at the changes, differences compared to last year. One thing is that our expenses for the most part are pretty flat. We do have increased expenses for like transportation and so on, but we didn't raise wages for the salary positions. And so anyways, our revenue increased. A large part of that is just making sure that we have a lot of licensed teachers in like every little area, and we had all of our secretaries that had all of the lunchtime. We do something called Lunch and Learn, where they do SEL curriculum, and everybody kind of was just making sure that we could get the most credit for our minutes, our resident minutes, and so we got a lot this year. We also, at the end of August, have done the jump start to the new school year, which has also been a nice boost. So the net income, it's a very hypothetical calculation because it gets put into a complex formula within the revenue limits. But our calculation is that it had net income of $83,300. So it was very well run financially. And a lot of the credit goes to Chrissy because Chrissy organizes the staffing, and that's where most of our expenses come from. So.
Thank you. Any questions about that? Okay. Next, we're on to executive session. Do I have a motion to consider adjournment of executive session? Katie?